Trois-Rivieres in Quebec sits at the confluence of the St. Maurice and the St. Lawrence rivers. It's the second oldest city in French-speaking Canada and a popular stop from tourists who drive up from nearby Montreal. But one weekend each summer, this quiet town is filled with the roar of racing engines. Superstars like Depailler and Villeneuve and Rahal have streaked down these narrow streets and through the famous arch down the hill on their way to racing fame. It's time for the 42nd Grand Prix of Trois-Rivieres, the Star Mazda Championship on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Welcome to Trois-Rivieres in Quebec, Canada. I'm Rick Benjamin. James Hinchcliffe is alongside. Todd Lewis will have our coverage on pit road. This is a great place to come. I love this circuit, the history here, the fans. James, these are some of your countrymen. They love this sport. When
you come to this town, this is the biggest event of the year for these people. They come out in throngs and they really support this event.
Captain Jack Hawksworth, and maybe a slightly unusual pre-race ritual.
You know, what I think he's doing is he's connecting the left and right side of his brain by doing those hand-eye coordination skills. It's a true story. Those things actually sometimes work.
Well, it has worked for him this season. Now, let's show you what happened in race one of this two-race weekend Saturday. Bright sunny skies, a lot of scrambling early on, and trouble for Ryan Taviter.
Not the way you want a race to start, by not starting, but these things happen. It's a half-shaft break, which it can be a weak point when you're doing these standing starts.
Doesn't even get launched at the start. Jack Hawksworth, the dominant player, as we've seen so many times this year in his Team Pelfrey car.
But it's Sage Karam again that's taking the fight to him.
Problems for Jeremy Daniel from Canada as well. Left front corner of the car failing early. The 10 done for the day without many laps on the board at all in the Saturday show at Trois-Rivieres. This was really a day about attrition. Diego Ferreira in the wall.
Easy to do, just a slight mistake. These street courses are so unforgiving, and a rough end to his day.
Hawksworth, the dominant player in the 82, as he has been for much of the season. Connor DeFilippi and Alex Ardoin, the 51 from Louisiana, a one-off, trying to get back into this series, had a very nice day.
Yeah, former series regular, making this one-off appearance and doing very well. He's historically been strong here, and yesterday's race was no exception.
Ardoin here working on Connor DeFilippi's machine, trying to hold off Gabi Chavez. Trouble for Petri Suvanto.
Running fifth at the time of an accident. We're not quite sure what the incident was, but obviously dislodging the wing ruined his day.
Good battle for second, third, and fourth here. As we watch Captain Jack Hawksworth in the 82, he's been so strong, pulling away at the end. His 6th win in 11 starts.
Flawless again on a very tight technical street circuit. It's like he's won at least one race on almost every weekend so far this season.
Adding to his championship lead, and check this out, the new victory lane move for the young British driver. We'll call that the Hawk, I guess?
I guess.
Captain Jack pretty happy in the bright Saturday sunshine. Todd Lewis caught up with him in victory lane.
Helmet's come off, he's got a cold drink, and he's even going to wait a second. I know you'll say it wasn't, but it sure looked like an easy drive out there. You had this field covered.
You know, I mean, after yesterday's qualifying, I thought it was going to be, you know, a lot closer than it was, because those guys were really fast, and you know, they're always, you know, Sage and Connor and these guys are always pushing us really hard. But you know, we just had the car underneath us today. Tyre management was great, and you know, I couldn't be pleased. You know, this guy, fantastic, and that guy as well. You know, it's an unbelievable team, and I'm so happy, unbelievable.
Another win for Jack Hawksworth here in the Star Mazda Championship.
Jack Hawksworth taking a giant step toward another rung on the Mazda road to Indy ladder, taking the traditional victory ride around the circuit to wave to the fans who packed this place at Trois-Rivieres.
They really do. It's huge crowd support. I wonder if Jack's ever going to get tired of talking to Todd at the end of the races. I reckon not.
They've become BFFs, I do think. Hawksworth the winner, Sage Karam second. DeFilippi rounds out the podium, then Ardoin, this one-off weekend drive ahead of Gabi Chavez. And here's your championship situation. Sage Karam now 58 behind Hawksworth.
But he's finally moved himself into second place. He's been the guy on the charge the last few rounds, but now he is officially the next guy in line to try and attack Hawksworth.
Well, now it's time for the second half of the doubleheader weekend. Jack Hawksworth will be on the pole. Sage Karam will start up front as well. A little more overcast here on this Sunday event at Trois-Rivieres. Here's Todd.
As the cars are out on the grid here at Trois-Rivieres, once again, weather is on the minds of several of them. There are showers forecast, perhaps heavy rain showers. I was talking with Martin Scuncio as we got up to the cars on the grid, and I said, well, maybe we're going to get rain, and he said, good, makes it more fun. Certainly levels the playing field too, doesn't it, fellas?
It can certainly do that. Now, James Hinchcliffe, what do you think? What does rain do if it does arrive during the running of this event?
I think it's chaos. I think it's what we saw in Edmonton a little bit. Maybe some guys pit for tires, maybe some guys don't. I feel like rain's played its part in a couple races so far this year in the Star Mazda Series.
All right, as the field gets the command to fire the motors, take us around this place.
Well, it's a 1.5-mile racetrack. It's 13 corners, and it is a very tight, technical little track. To be honest, it's almost very well suited to a car this size. Anything much bigger, and it would be a bit tight. Got a very fast corner 1, corner 2 section we're going to see here now. It's a 4th gear corner through turn 1, very, very quick, and a quick switch back into turn 2. Not a whole lot of passing opportunities in this part of the track because it is so quick. Down here, the most famous corner, this is the one where all the pictures are taken at, through the arc and then onto the long back straight. You're going to go up through the gears. These cars are going to get close to just a little over 150 miles an hour before getting onto the brakes for the best passing opportunity of the day at the end of the back straight here. Look for some incidents, some potential yellow flags. This is the corner that caught Diego Ferreira out in yesterday's race. We're riding on board with Connor DeFilippi now. He's warming up his tires as he comes back through the back half of the track. And this is, there's 3 corners left essentially. This is a very quick corner here. It's a quick left-hander, 3rd gear, but some passing opportunities there. Now a very technical section to end the lap. 2 second gear corners, very tight. There's the second last corner. Then we're going to take a quick right onto the front straightaway. And this is going to be, again, important to get a good runoff of for a good lap time, even though passing into turn 1 isn't super common here at Trois-Rivieres.
Very tight racetrack indeed. Those fit like with any temporary circuit, the concrete wall's pretty close to the track, not much room for error here.
And we've seen it. We've seen it, they can bite you. We've seen it at other tracks. We've already seen it this weekend. So, again, it's going to be a race about concentration and focus for these drivers.
Take a look at your starting lineup here at Trois-Rivieres. Hawksworth on pole. Petri Suvanto, his teammate, will line up second. This done according to quick laps during yesterday's event. Sage Karam lines up third with Gavi Chavez alongside in the 19 car. Row number 3 today, Alex Ardoin, this one-off weekend from Louisiana. Gustavo Menezes in the 83 car, the third of the Pelfrey machines. DeFilippi has to come from 7th today.
Again, not the qualifying effort that he wants, but hopefully his maturity and experience can move him up the grid today.
Pedro Hida and Zach Beach in row number 5. Beach with that frustrating day at Edmonton last week. Bruno Pali and Diego Ferreira on the 57. He'll start 12th alongside Pali, who lines up 11th today. Ashley Freiberg in the True Car entry, the 91 car 13th. Carlos Linares in the 20 will start in 14th position. Andres Mendez in the 53 and young Zach Meyer from Canada in the 66 car will go from the 16th position here today. Jeremy Daniel in the 10 had problems earlier. Ryan Taviter also with troubles yesterday. They will make up row number 9 here at Trois-Rivieres. Everybody scrubbing their tires and the wind's starting to pick up.
And you can see there's dirt, there's debris, there's leaves on the racetrack. These are not ideal conditions. I mean, just look at the racetrack. It looks more like a country road right now.
All right, so the field will come around on the installation lap. This is the end of the backstretch. Out of 5, down a short chute into that final complex of corners that brings you back to the front straightaway. The field will line up for the standing start, and we'll come back for the green here at Trois-Rivieres, this beautiful place from Quebec, Canada, on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Welcome back to Trois-Rivieres in Quebec, Canada with James Hinchcliffe. I'm Rick Benjamin on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Lights about to come on and get us going here in the Star Mazda Championship.
It's an all-Pelfrey front row. Hawksworth on pole, Suvanto second on the strength of their fastest laps from the race yesterday. And the green flag is out.
Heading down into this right-hander, almost a 90-degree first turn for Hawksworth in the field.
And it's a quick corner, so not a whole lot of slowing down needed from where they were starting in that standing start. Sage Karam into second, following Hawksworth. We've seen that a couple times already recently, but he's not letting him get away just yet. Side by side down into turn 3.
Now up this long straightaway, it's got this kink in it, this first little left-hand kink. You're really going fast when you come up the hill here.
And it also gives drivers the freedom to be a little bit creative on their line. When you're racing side by side, as we see Suvanto having to defend. Not a great start from Petri. Unfortunate, had a problem yesterday, still had a quick lap and managed to have a front row starting spot, but he's fallen back a few on this opening lap.
4th spot in play, side by side with Suvanto and Alex Ardoin. Connor DeFilippi back there in 6th.
He's sort of sitting in the catbird seat. He's going to see how this plays out in this quick left-hander. And it is Suvanto that comes out in front. Now, Connor DeFilippi going to try and capitalize. Oh, Ardoin back on the inside.
Petri Suvanto, our Replay XD onboard cameras giving you a great vantage point.
And that was a great little bit of driving from those two guys. Gave each other room, made a couple passes happen. That's 3 passes just between those two on the first lap alone.
Connor DeFilippi trying to take advantage of the opportunity early in the going here. Sage Karam second. Again, the Replay XD on board look as he tries to track down the leader.
You can see it. You can see that he's working for it. I know Sage well, and I can tell you he is absolutely fed up with looking at the back of the 82 car. He's going to do everything he can to try and change this order.
Jack Hawksworth with the 6 wins so far this season. One of the things you've got to say about him, he's a little older. He's 21 now, so he's maybe a little more mature than some of the other drivers on the field, just a bit. But he's so consistent as we have problems for Bruno Pali in the early going.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the problem was there for the 15 car, but just going back to what you said about Hawksworth, absolutely, it's tough to put into words exactly how valuable that mental maturity and that experience is being a little bit older, and it's really showing through this season for Jack.
The ability to replicate corner after corner, lap after lap in road course racing especially, so crucial to success.
It certainly is, and especially when the margin for error is so small, you don't really have any room to mess around.
Connor DeFilippi with problems early on. Downstairs to Todd Lewis.
Connor DeFilippi pounds the steering wheel as he comes into pit lane in frustration. Front nose cone missing, and the Juncos Racing team is going to try to make repairs and get him back out. Boy, this season has turned into a very frustrating one for Connor DeFilippi.
It certainly has. The man who came into this championship really with his sights on it more than anyone. He's got a lot of experience. He was gunning for the title, and it started off well. He led the championship for a while, but a series of rough races for Connor DeFilippi has just destroyed his chances at this title.
Is he overdriving this race car? That's why we see the wing damage and things like that? Let's take a look here.
Let's take a look. He gets a little bit crossed up there. Yeah, I mean, you really got to put the blame on him for that one. The rear tire's locked up for whatever reason, and another broken wing.
Now, Connor came into this season, he won the finale last year at Road Atlanta, and that would give a young driver, thinking, okay, I've got this figured out. I can go next year and be a dominant player.
Absolutely. He stepped into a team that's won the championship, and he, like you say, he was coming in the most experienced driver in this category, but and again, he has driven well. He's had some things work against him. He's had some mechanical problems. He's had some races where he's taken out, no fault of his own. So very tough break for him.
Jack Hawksworth, the leader by about 10 car lengths in the early going, heading down the hill to the arch and then the long run up the hill. And in DeFilippi's case, as you say, driving for a championship team, Juncos with Connor Daly dominant in 2010.
Exactly, and I think stepping into that car, he was hoping to emulate the success that Connor had, but it is tough to win at this level. And for the second race in a row, we see the number 2 car driving around without a shock cover and a repaired front nose. Very, very unfortunate.
And even here, with that long backstretch, aerodynamics a factor.
Absolutely. Anywhere you go in these Formula cars, aerodynamics is a big, big part of it.
Field heading out of turn 5 down to the final complex of corners here at Trois-Rivieres. Again, a mile and a half, if you're familiar with North American racetracks, not dissimilar to Lime Rock Park in its length in Connecticut, but this is a temporary circuit. You've got the transition from concrete to asphalt. You've got some permanent parts of the course and some temporary.
Yeah, it's funny you say a mile and a half. I mean, that's an oval track in the IndyCar series, so it's funny to see it laid out in a street course style. And as you say, these the different surfaces that these drivers have to deal with, a big challenge. The track, it doesn't have a lot of rubber because it's not used all year long. It is a street course. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are trying to catch these drivers out.
I made my first trip here 20 years ago for a Trans Am telecast. James, you've raced here. Coming downhill to that arch, I imagine that's a little intimidating until you get used to it.
It certainly is. You're literally heading between these 2 giant concrete pillars. It's a very narrow gap when you're going these kind of speeds, so it is certainly a bit intimidating.
Yeah, Gabi Chavez, 3rd in points here. He's figured it out pretty well, has had a very clean season in the 19 car.
He's yet to win a race, but I've got to tell you, he's always been there. New to oval racing, struggled a bit on those, but I'll tell you what, he's had a bunch of podium positions. It's like he gets there on the first lap and just sort of stays there. He's quiet, but he's lurking in the background, and for a first-year driver, that's a very, very good thing. He's doing a great job.
Assuming that Jack Hawksworth could close the deal, win the title, and take another step up the Mazda road to Indy Lights, I'm thinking Gabi Chavez may be a driver to watch for the 2013 Star Mazda Championship.
Certainly. If we see Gabi Chavez come back, he is going to be a guy that is in the catbird seat to try and take that championship and take that scholarship and himself move up to Indy Lights in 2014.
Heading to that arch, Jack Hawksworth, the race leader, trying to put Bruno Pali in the 15, a lap down already. Pali with that early move onto pit road.
Yeah, he may already be laps down. That was a bit of a cheeky move for the race leader to come in and try and outbreak him on the outside. And obviously that's allowed Karam to catch right up. 3 wide now, heading into 5 at the end of the back straight.
Sage Karam in the 88 trying to take the lead away from Hawksworth, who prevails.
Yeah, I mean, Hawksworth won't be pleased with Pali, and he has every right to be upset. That was not a very courteous move.
Down the short straightaway, heading to that last complex of corners that dumps you onto the front straight here at Trois-Rivieres.
But again, this is where Jack's maturity really shows. Unfazed by this. We've seen time after time, he's had a nice big lead, a yellow flag comes out. He's handled every single restart, every curveball thrown at him. There really hasn't been once where we've seen Jack make a genuine mistake while under pressure.
And one of the interesting things about Captain Jack is he's only been doing this for a couple of years. Graduated from go-karts, a little bit of Formula Car racing in Great Britain. Now he comes over here. First year in this series, he's been the dominant player almost since day one.
And there's just no substitute for age and maturity, and he's showing that in spades so far this year.
Of course, opportunity knocking for some of the young stars in the Star Mazda Championship. Hawksworth looks like he's in the catbird seat to earn the scholarship, but others may be considering a move up to Indy Lights next year as well. Before the start, Todd Lewis caught up with Sage Carroll.
Yeah, I mean, you always got that in the back of your mind, what's going to happen to you in the future. And with the whole Mazda Road to Indy program, that's the big question that answers. I mean, that you can answer that with just that phrase there, Mazda Road to Indy. And you know, so obviously Lights I want to do next, but you know, it's you want to win this championship to get the funded ride to go up there. So we'll see. If it were my choice, I want to go to Lights next year. But you know, sponsorship's a big key in this sport. So we'll see where that goes.
I really like Sage's approach and attitude towards that. He knows that, you know, despite being young and eager to get there, sponsorship's a big part of this sport, and winning that championship gives you that funded ride. So he's ready to accept. If he has to do another year, he has to do another year.
I think also in the Mazda Road to Indy, winning the title and having that affiliation with Mazda and the program as a champion, I think that's got to help as well.
It helps a ton, you know, and it also opens some other doors within the Mazda organization. They have obviously some sports car stuff that they sometimes call on their champions to take part in. So having that relationship with a company and a manufacturer that's been so supportive of open wheel racing and developing young talent can help you a ton in the future.
Working lap 8 on the streets of Trois-Rivieres in Quebec, Canada. We'll be right back. More of the Star Mazda Championship on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Welcome back. Climbing the ladder, the Mazda Speed Motorsports Development Ladder. Several of our young guns here in Star Mazda hoping to make that leap to Indy Lights soon. David Estella has done it, as has Tristan Vautier. The experience as well as the race wins count for a lot.
It's a big advantage of having been through the Mazda Road to Indy before getting to Indy Lights. USF 2000, Star Mazda, you know, it's very good because you get to follow ISOT IndyCar on many weekends and learn the tracks to be kind of more ready when you get there. So, I mean, I still always have to adapt and make the right adjustments to the Indy Lights car, but when I know the tracks, it's for sure a big help.
It's just the setup, learning about the shocks, the springs, dampers, bump rubbers, all that stuff is very important. Not only your driving and what you do off the track with the media and all that stuff, but learning about the car and being able to tell your engineer, oh, you know, I think we should change this, I think we should try this. It definitely sets you apart from the other drivers.
And James Hinchcliffe, you've made that climb up the ladder. You've gotten to IndyCar. What about the experience in Star Mazda?
I'll tell you what, my year in 2005 in Star Mazda is probably one of the most fun I've ever had on the racetrack. The wheel-to-wheel action was incredible. We had a great crop of drivers that year, and it helped me a ton with my racecraft.
You see the teams beginning to scramble down here, starting to feel raindrops along pit lane. This could really shake things up. Rain tires at the ready. No one's made the move yet, but if it persists, someone will be first to be making the bold decision to come in and change.
James, from the broadcast booth, I noticed a few sprinkles of rain on some of our camera lenses now, and the skies have gotten a lot darker.
It's Edmonton all over again.
Wow.
And you remember what happened there. Some guys took the gamble staying out on slicks. Ultimately, Camilo Schmidt, the guy that won the race, stayed out on slicks, but it did not work out for the likes of Jack Hawksworth. So it'll be interesting to see if the heavens open what each driver does.
A Replay XD onboard looks here. We're riding with young Alex Ardouin, who had such a good year 2 years ago at Star Mazda out of Louisiana. Ran very well a year ago as well. He's been very strong here at Trois-Rivieres. Wants to come back to the series, trying to raise the funding to do that full time. Captain Jack Hawksworth, meantime, setting sail in that Team Pelfrey 82 car once again.
Yeah, he's opened up a huge gap now to Sage Karam, very comfortable. Again, this is Jack's style. He opens up that lead 7 seconds sometimes, and inevitably we see a caution and a restart that makes him really tests him. But again, he's passed with flying colors every time.
Karam running a nice second in the 88 car, the Comfort Revolution machine, second in the championship. We heard from him a moment ago about whether he can return here and make a run at a championship in Star Mazda next year and get the Road to Indy scholarship, or whether he'd be better off moving up to Indy Lights a year early.
I think if the opportunity is there for him to move up, he's ready. He's quick enough as a driver. You know, he's maturing every single race weekend. It's a very different Sage Karam this year than we saw last year.
When you're a young driver on the way up, as we take a look at the running order, 12 laps on the board and Hawksworth out in front, knowing when to make that next move is really critical. You can go too soon or you can wait too long at one level.
Absolutely, but if I were to say one is more detrimental to your career than the other, it'd be moving too soon. You know, it's almost never too late to make a step, but it's very often too soon.
You can get in over your head, get a reputation as somebody who can't get the job done, and that could kill you.
And also, the further up you go, the more expensive it is to do it year after year. So when sponsorship and money is an issue, that can be tough.
All right, Alex Ardouin, one of the great stories of the weekend, a one-off drive. He's been in the series quite a while. This is a very special weekend for the young driver.
Thankfully, I've had, almost 5 years of experience being around the series and with different teams, but the cars. And but as far as the track goes, I've always really enjoyed the circuit, and a lot of my ancestry is from around this area, and it's always a special feeling to come here. This year I've been nicknamed the Acadian, and it's a great throwback to where my ancestry all comes from here. So it always gives me a little bit extra motivation, and it always helps that this event is my favorite one on the calendar.
Alex Ardouin out of Cajun country, Sunset, Louisiana. The Acadians, the French Canadians who moved to Louisiana and became the Cajuns down there. So a lot of relation between this area and the New Orleans, Louisiana area as well. Meantime, the weather may well be changing on this Sunday at Trois-Rivieres. Todd, what's the latest?
We felt a few raindrops here in pit lane, so all the teams scrambled, got the tires ready, up on the wall, just in case it started to come down a little heavier. Now it's stopped. Everybody's at the ready if it does pick up again.
And if it does, the question is, when do you come in? That's what these teams are going to have to decide with the feedback from these drivers.
We saw a surprise winner at Edmonton, a driver who waited, kept slicks on, and it paid off. Meantime, they certainly have a lot of fun at the racetrack here in Quebec. We'll be right back. Crowds at Trois-Rivieres always huge, and the autograph session very, very popular. Fans getting an opportunity to talk to some of the young drivers who will be stars of the future in Indy Lights and then in IndyCar eventually. Fourth place in play, Alex Ardouin in the 51. Petri Suvanto, the former USF 2000 champion from a year ago who earned the Mazda Road to Indy scholarship, putting a lot of pressure on the young Cajun.
Yeah, and I don't think Petri's having the race he exactly wanted starting on the front row. He had a blistering lap to get that front row starting spot in race 1 yesterday, and the pace just hasn't been there today.
Heading up the long back straightaway toward turn 5, Suvanto in the 81, Jack Hawksworth's teammate at Team Pelfrey, the 51, Ardouin, one-off drive. This is the team, JDC, that he had run for previously, so a lot of good relationships for him. And we talked to him earlier, you heard some of his comments. He really wants to find the funding to come back to Star Mazda and continue his rise on the Mazda Road to Indy, but it's a tough fight. Hawksworth, meantime, he's out for a Sunday drive right now.
Apparently so. It's just a typical afternoon for Jack at the racetrack, and you can see the gap now to Sage Karam is just gargantuan. He really is doing an impressive job here. Not one little mistake, not one little lockup, not one brush of the wall. He just seems to be unbeatable at this point.
Just a little short of what should be halfway today at Trois-Rivieres, through the arch and onto the backstretch one more time. With every lap, Hawksworth continues to add to the advantage. The battle for position behind him, 3rd, 4th, 5th in play. You've got a good fight, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th going on as well as we watch the 82 car, and Hawksworth really put on a clinic here.
And again, it's the same old story. You know, it really makes you think. Is this guy that good, or does this team have that car that sorted? Is a combination of both? And I think there's obviously a lot of different elements in play here, and everybody's doing their job well, but it's so rare in any form of racing you see a level of dominance quite like this.
The 22 car, Martin Scuncio, that's the Pullman bus machine, and the 83 Gustavo Menez is the third of the Pelfrey cars. Kind of bracketing Bruno Pali. Is he making any friends out there a lap down?
Not really, Rick. I mean, he's lapped down. He's outbraking guys. He's blocking. It's I'll tell you what. I'm mad at him. I'm not even on the racetrack, so I can only imagine how frustrated Menezes is right now.
Meantime, as they head to the front straightaway, take a look at our Replay XD onboard camera here. Some drops of rain on the lens that indicate wet conditions are headed our way.
You saw Polly a little squirrely coming onto the front straight out of that last corner. Obviously not wet enough for Menezes to not make the move into turn one, but still, it's threatening.
Now, with all the heat that's in this racetrack and the heat in these tires, a little bit of moisture, probably not a big problem.
No, definitely not. And another important thing to take into account is these crews. Oh, we've seen the fans. The umbrellas are up and the hoods are going up. But I was just going to say, these Star Mazda teams, they're not well versed in pit stops. So it does take an awful long time to change to those wet weather tires. You have to be very sure that you need to be on wet tires if you're going to come in and make that commitment.
Captain Jack having set sail, he may need to trim the sails a little bit as he heads downhill to the arch.
Yes, set sail might be a pretty appropriate term here in a minute if this rain comes.
You don't want to overdrive in these situations when you're trying to decide. But look at this now. You can really see the track getting darker and darker. I'm thinking he's got to come to pit road.
He's got to come soon when you can see the tire marks. Oh, here we go. Absolutely. This is proper wet, and he does have the advantage of a massive margin to Sage. He doesn't have to be too aggressive. As long as he makes it to pit lane first, he's got a good chance of maintaining his advantage. But now would be the time to come in. Absolutely.
Jack Hawksworth tiptoeing with that big lead, and as you can see here, it's late in the summer, still very much a warm weather day, but in this part of Canada, leaves are starting to come off the trees already, so you've got that added potential for trouble in some sections of the track.
And Jack did skip pit in there. He's doing another lap, and these surface changes get very tricky in wet weather as well.
Todd Lewis, what can you tell us about the weather?
As we're watching the cars come through the final corner out to the start-finish line, the racing line is still pretty dry. The cars are going through at a slightly slower pace, but it's not wet enough yet to make the move to pit lane to change for rain tires.
All right, James Hinchcliffe, how do they handle this? How do series officials handle this from a rules standpoint? Are you on your own as a driver and a race team to make the decision to put reins on?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I think that staying out might actually be the right call here, because usually once it gets proper wet, the series will throw a caution to let the teams come in and change tires, because at this level, the teams aren't outfitted, they're not experienced to do pit stops, so it's not necessarily fair. So they might even throw a red flag to let teams put the wet tires on. The only time you'd be allowed to make the decision is if you wanted to come in early and risk the yellow not coming out, because if you come in and put tires on your own and then the yellow comes out, you're going to be in trouble because everybody else is going to get to come in for free basically. So I guess it is the right move to just tiptoe around right now, but I'm surprised that the yellow has not come out yet, because look at how wet it's getting.
Driving rainstorm, and now Hawksworth coming to the part of the course where he's going to be headed downhill at speed.
It's going to be very treacherous out there. You can see it's not raining as heavy on this part of the racetrack, but very heavy, it seemed like, down through the back half and onto the front straight.
We stay green for now. Hawksworth with the slicks on, but the track obviously wet, and the caution is waving. Full course yellow. So this will allow Star Mazda teams and drivers an opportunity to come to pit road, pause, put the rain tires on, and get set to resume the competition.
And I think the reason you didn't see anyone come in is we learned this in Edmonton at the last race when Ferreira actually came in before that caution came out. He took the gamble, but then as the caution comes out, your advantage gets eliminated. So everybody was tiptoeing around there waiting for this call to happen, which was inevitable. And now that it has happened, this has just entirely changed the complexity of this race.
The full course yellow waved after the leader, Hawksworth, went by. There you see teams with the reins up on the wall, getting ready to jump the wall as soon as the cars come to pit road. They'll make those tire changes, get everybody back out onto the racetrack as quickly as they can. But problems on the backstretch under yellow. Take a look at this. Diego Ferreira goes around, hits the Armco. Zach Veach gets crossed up, able to keep it off the wall. We've got other problems in another part of the backstretch.
Carlos Linares has done serious damage to his race car. Not sure exactly what happened there, but I imagine same sort of thing. These crowned roads, you know, it's highest in the middle, and when you're driving in the middle of the racetrack, just like he was, it's so easy in these conditions for the rear end to snap and send you into the tires.
Your tendency, of course, is to pound the brakes, lock the wheels, but in full rain like this with slicks, that's going to send you've got no control.
You pretty much go just the exact same speed, whether you're locked up or the wheels are rolling, unfortunately.
Safety car is out. Hawksworth able to maintain the lead. Look at the spray coming off those slick tires. Everyone should be coming to pit road to put rain tires on, but we've had several cars damaged on the backside of the race course here at Trois-Rivieres.
And now he's just sitting there getting wet. That's just miserable. Your race is done, and you're getting soaked.
And you get your visor up, so you're hitting into the face and everything else.
It's bad to worse.
No fun, to be sure. All the fun's gone out of the day. Everybody very slow, tiptoeing around the racetrack. They'll come to pit road here.
And it's little things you don't think of. All these drivers have dark visors on, which is not what you need in the rain. But we see the red flag is now thrown as the cars come to pit lane.
Todd Lewis trying to find some cover down on pit road. Todd, what's going on down there?
Here's what's going to happen with this rain shower that's gone through, guys, is they're bringing the entire field in. They'll stop them along pit road. Then they will change tires. Everybody will switch to the wet weather tires. They'll return to action without gaining or losing any position once the cleanup on the track is done.
All right, so Alex Ardouin's team quickly on it. The rest of the cars coming to a stop here, getting set for a restart.
Yeah, I don't think he was actually supposed to go to his pit box right away. He was supposed to line up, but I'm sure that'll be fine. And again, the reason that they're throwing the red and letting the teams change tires under these conditions, this isn't a series where pit stops are important. This is not what this series is about. It's about the young drivers, so give them a fair opportunity to do it.
Jack Hawksworth will be the restart leader when we put the green back out. Karam and Chavez, the rest of the top three at Trois-Rivieres. As we are under a rain delay here at Trois-Rivieres, Quebec, Canada, on the Mazda Motorsports Hour, coverage of the Star Mazda Championship. Our championship leader and the race leader is Captain Jack Hawksworth from Great Britain. He's looking more and more to be the likely Star Mazda champion and a driver who's ready to take the next step up the Mazda Road to Indy ladder. Of course, he'd earned the scholarship, the funded ride up to Indy Lights. Before the start, Todd Lewis sat down with Captain Jack.
I was on my 13th birthday. I got my first go-kart, and yeah, just started from there really, down in a club in West Yorkshire, the local kart club. And it's funny actually, because my dad was he was really into his bike racing and motorsport. He loved Formula 1 and whatnot. But when I was younger, I actually had no interest in it at all. I'd been I think 12, I think it was. All I wanted to do was play soccer. For some reason, I had an epiphany overnight and decided I wanted to go racing instead. Started at club racing and worked my way up, and then 2006 I became the European champion in Junior Max, and from then on I went into the shifter class, KZ, and I raced in England, and then all over Europe, and actually became a professional driver for the last couple of years in my karting career, and then sort of the opportunity to move into car racing at the end of 2010, and I've decided this is a big dream. I actually got pole position in my first ever race in the Formula Renault UK Winter Series. It was a wet qualifying, and we'd been decent in testing, and then we went out. I didn't expect to be pole, and we came in after pole position. I was like, oh, wow! So immediately we were quick, and I finished third in that series, which is impressive because the guys we were racing against were like the Red Bull Junior drivers and all of the top European guys. We decided at the end of the year to look at our options and see what the next step was, and the best place for me to be to develop to show what I can do was, and we saw the Mazda Road to Indy. We came and did the official test. I did it with these guys, Team Pelfrey, and we hit it off immediately, and knew from that moment it was like, this is exciting stuff. I want to go do this. Come on! I might come across a little bit arrogant sometimes, but it's not arrogance, it's the fact that if you work harder than somebody else and you apply yourself the best way possible, always looking to improve, always looking to be better, then you expect to be at the front. And where I'm starting on the pole, I'm starting a few rows further back. I go into the race and I always go in with a set plan of what I'm going to do, how I'm going to execute it, and regardless of what anybody else does, I'm doing my thing, and it's up to them to beat me. What I won't do is beat myself.
Captain Jack Hawksworth, your championship leader and restart leader here at Trois-Rivieres. A young man on a mission, James Hinchcliffe.
He said it brilliantly, not beating himself. And there's been so many opportunities to do it. And at this level, you see drivers make mistakes like that. Hawksworth has not made one.
He is 8 years into his racing career, only his second year in cars from go-karts. All right, green flag is back in the air. Rain tires on everybody in the field, but a very wet racetrack.
This is going to change things significantly. If anything, Hawksworth has an even bigger advantage now because he's got the clean sight line. As soon as you get behind even just one car, the spray really impedes your vision, makes it very difficult to place your car where you want, and the further you go down that line, the worse that visibility gets.
Now, of course, in wet weather racing, and it looks as though the rain has abated somewhat, part of this is finding the right line. It's not always the traditional racing line.
A lot of the times it isn't, especially with these mixed surfaces that we have here on a street circuit. So yeah, these first laps are going to be a little bit exploratory, and the one disadvantage of being up front is you're the first guy into all these corners at speed in the wet, and if there's like a big slick spot, you're going to be the first guy to come across it, and that can bite you.
Out of turn 5 onto the short straightaway. Left-hand corners coming up for the field here at Trois-Rivieres in Quebec, Canada. Hawksworth, your leader. Karam is second. Third spot belongs to Gabby Chavez. Karam up on the curbing there.
Karam is really trying to use this to his advantage. He's taking a slightly wider line, keeping 2 of his wheels off that concrete patch, looking for a little more grip, and also looking for some clean sight.
Hawksworth slips offline.
Oh man, and Sage had to get out of it there to not run into the back of Hawksworth, and he's lined up now on the inside into turn 1. This is going to be tight, boys. Play nice.
Sage Karam gunning for the lead at Trois-Rivieres. Hawksworth runs out of racetrack.
Side by side. That was brilliant. I mean, that was, you know, neither driver had been side by side through that corner yet. You had no idea what the grip was going to be like, but they gave each other enough room, and that was a brilliant move from Karam.
When you pass the guy who's the dominant racer in the series, the championship leader, even in extreme conditions like this, man, that's got to do a lot for your confidence.
Certainly does, and we're going to see a replay now. Again, Sage I think had to lift off the throttle coming out of that final turn, gets back to it, keeps the momentum up, going side by side now. Hawksworth's kind of on the preferred line for the rain, and he tries to hold it, but Sage just nudges him wide enough that he eventually has to concede the corner, and that's great stuff. And now, finally, we've seen Jack. He didn't make a mistake. Well, he made a bit of a mistake. He got a little bit wide there, but he's still in this. Now it's going to be, will he keep his composure? Can he get that position back? Or can he maybe just settle for a second place if that's all that's on the cards? This is a position we haven't really seen Jack in recently.
I couldn't be more impressed with what we've seen Sage Karam just execute here. When you catch the guy who's the dominant player in one of these series and you're able to drive around him even in the rain, man, that is quite a statement. And now Karam pulling away by 5 or 6 car lengths.
And it's funny, and I know maybe this isn't totally fair because, you know, as we just learned, Hawksworth's only in his second year in cars, but growing up in the UK, traditionally guys coming out of there, they're very proficient in wet weather driving, kind of the climate that they're used to. This is a little bit comfortable for them.
Yeah.
So no, Sage is he's on an absolute tear right now. This kid is very hungry.
Gabby Chavez up to third, pulling away now from Alex Ardouin, who continues to run fourth. Petri Savanto back there in fifth, and one of the other Pelfrey cars, Jack Hawksworth, wiggles and goes right into the tires.
And this is what we were just talking about. We haven't seen Jack running in second place. Could he keep his composure after losing the lead? And a big mistake. We saw the cars a little swirly.
Bruno Pali, who had a tough day today early on, he gets into the wall coming out of the front stretch.
It just proves how difficult these conditions really are to see the championship leader, the dominant force in this series, make a mistake like that, other cars going off, and that is serious damage. That's terminal damage to that race car.
Captain Jack getting his wings clipped. Let's take another look at this one.
You see he gets some rear lockup, the car gets sideways, just no chance he can slow it down, and again, these slippery conditions just make it that much harder.
On board here, the Replay XD onboard camera.
Ooh, that was not a light hit. I mean, he went in there pretty hard, and there's no doubt he's going to be a little bit upset about this, and we're still under green. I mean, he got going, Sage is still running, and he has opened up now a huge gap. There is no pressure from behind. His main competitor is out, but Gabby Chavez still doing a great job holding on to second place.
Gabby Chavez back there, holding off Ardouin. Meantime, with the 15, the Team Viso car of Pali vaults the wall. That car a little bit offline, but not in a great spot. I'm surprised we haven't seen a caution, at least in that part of the circuit.
Yeah, certainly. I'm surprised the full course caution didn't come out for the debris, from Hawksworth's accident and then also for Pali, but I love when they keep it racing. This is what we want. We want to see green flag running right now.
Now the battle for second spot, Chavez in the 19, trying to hold off Ardouin. A little contact there.
Yeah, I think Ardouin just got in a little bit hot, just barely tapped Chavez. You know, sort of no harm, no foul there. And again, both these guys doing a great job as we come to the white flag.
With Pali's car still sideways at the exit of the final corner. Unbelievable stuff.
Bit risky, but I like it. I'm not going to lie. I like that they keep this green. It's going to give this race a chance to finish under green. Oh, man. Ardouin is really on the back of Chavez now. He can smell that second place.
Final time around, down the hill to the arch here for Alex Ardoin. A podium is certainly akin to a victory, but maybe he's got a shot at second as Chavez goes wide.
It's just so easy to do in these conditions. Massive pressure. Gabby's trying his best, and he is doing a great job still to keep Alex behind him. They're side by side. Oh, Alex dekes to the inside. Careful, boy. So easy to get it wrong.
90-degree turn 5 in a difficult corner, launching you onto a straightaway here.
Only one real chance for Alex to get this spot now, and either way, a podium, as you say, for him is a tremendous result on his comeback race. It looks like Karam's all set up front, mistake-free. This is now the race to watch.
Yeah, Chavez trying to hang on to second. How about Jack Hawksworth, the points leader? Pulls back on the racetrack after stuffing that car in the tires. He will score some points here today. Checkered flag is in the air, and Sage Karam picks up another victory.
Sage Karam with the win, and Gabby Chavez is going to hold on to second place. Your points leader, Jack Hawksworth, just limps that destroyed race car across the line. The Andretti Autosport crew obviously thrilled with that result for Sage. Yancy Diatalevi is engineer there, and Sage doing a little bit of celebrating, a little bit sideways there. Awesome car control from the young driver.
Sage Karam, your winner. Gabby Chavez ends up in second. Alex Ardoin right with him, but has to settle for third. Captain Jack Hawksworth 12th. With a heavily damaged race car, but good for him to soldier on and see the checkered flag after that late wreck. Drivers saluting each other at Trois-Rivieres. We'll talk to the winner in a moment. Back at Trois-Rivieres, the second half of our Star Mazda doubleheader goes to Sage Karam. He's with Todd.
Sage Karam gets a cold drink. What a wild race that was. You looked like you had a chance to get Jack early, but then fell back. Then everything changed once the rain came. You got that shot late and took advantage.
Oh, I'm so excited right now. No one has any idea. I mean, we struggled a little bit this weekend at Jack's pace, but, you know, I knew we had a better car today than we did yesterday, and we really worked hard overnight. We finally got the balance where we wanted it to. Jack pulled us a little bit there, so I knew it was going to rain. The team was aware of me it was going to rain, so, you know, I just held on. And we really just had an awesome pass there for the lead. And then once we got it, you know, I just kept my head down, just had to drive consistent, and bring home the W.
Congratulations, a win here at Trois-Rivieres for Sage Karam.
And I think some vindication for Sage as well, because he's been clearly frustrated with what's been going on.
Yeah, I mean, 2 second places in Edmonton. You could tell he was still hungry for that win, and it's paid off.
Gabby Chavez has to take second home today, but is able to hold off Alex Ardoin to do that. Suvanto and Scuncio, the rest of the top 5. Ryan Taviter bags the top 10 behind Ashley Freiberg in the somewhat challenging conditions here today. Pedro Hita, there's Hawksworth at 12th. Talk a little bit about that day for Hawksworth.
I mean, it was so close to perfection, even in the wet, just one little mistake, but that's all it takes sometimes.
And indeed the case for the points leader. Let's talk to our runner-up today.
Gabby, what a wild finish to this one in the rain as it starts to pour on us again.
Yeah, I mean, once again, like Edmonton, you know, we're out there on the slicks, you know, ripping really hot laps on slick tires, and then just the rain started coming down. And once we were lapping on slicks in the rain, you know, I felt pretty good. I was catching up to second place. Then the track went full course. We put some rain tires on, and then, you know, it was just like 5 hot laps, you know, giving it all you got, and I was just trying to hold on. You know, I had a lot of pressure from Alex in third, and you know, I managed to hold on, and it's good for the championship.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Sun shining, rain coming down as well, and the fans get the umbrellas back out. 5 races to go in the season, a 41-point lead for Hawksworth.
And Gabby's just always there. I love the consistency of this kid, but Sage is the guy who can bring it to the fight to Hawksworth.
Alex, you make it one spot better and get onto the podium today. Got to feel good in this hometown event.
It definitely does. Yesterday I was a little bit sad to see my streak of podium finishes here it come to an end. But, you know, to get it back in today feels really good, and felt like I had the faith of the crowd in me. It was great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So the Arcadian, Alex Ardoin from Louisiana, scores a podium finish in his return to the series. A wild weekend of racing here at Trois-Rivieres.
It's a bit of a different scenario from what we're used to. Still one win for Hawksworth, but not the day he wanted today. Congrats to Sage Karam. The difficult conditions where he prevailed. A great day of racing, a great weekend of racing here in Trois-Rivieres.
Very entertaining as well. For James Hinchcliffe and Todd Lewis, I'm Rick Benjamin. We'll talk to you next time on the Mazda Motorsports Hour.